This is Halloween. This is Halloween. 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 I'm gonna get sued now. Anyway, today we have a new banner. Hooray! Halloween banner. As you can see, we've got Fina, Rain, Laswell, and Lid all in their nice Halloween outfits. So, moving on, we're gonna start with White Witch Fina. This is a general summary of all the characters, what they bring to the table. Even though they've just kind of got a costume on, as you can see with White Witch Fina, they literally stuck just a hat on her. Don't think she has changed in any way, shape, or form. They do have different abilities. They have unique abilities based on their costume, I guess you could say. So with White Witch Fina, she is seen as the weakest of the batch. I'll explain why. As with all of my banner reviews and summaries of characters, I always think every character has a place, so I'm not exactly going to bash a character just because they're not optimal for the meta. So, starting off here, we do have the ability to summon her at a 4-star, so if you get that gold crystal, you have a pretty high rating of getting a White Witch Fina. She does go up to 6-star. Other than that, she's very much like her original self. So starting off with her stats, she will be going up, let's say at 5-star to compare with her regular. She does have very similar stats. When she goes up to 6-star, however, she's going to be having a massive amount of MP and a very large amount of spirit. This is her base stats. She's also going to be getting a whole bunch of stat boosts that we'll see in a second here. Something to note with all of these characters, a lot of them have boosted resistances. So in this example, she has light resistance, and she also has silence resistance. This is something that the regular character does not innately gain. This is one thing I've seen a lot of people overlooking, that each of these costumed versions of the characters are getting resistances to ailments and a specific element. So moving on, she, I believe, has the exact same equipment as her original. I haven't double checked that on any of these characters, but she's able to use stabs, which is pretty much all you need, and all of the light and I believe, yeah, the robe gear. So the same kind of stuff that you're going to use with the regular Fina. She does get up to level 4 green magic whenever going up to 6-star. It's really not a huge jump. I think most of the bar spells are 3 anyway, which would be one of the main reasons you'd equip. So getting into her abilities, a lot of her abilities will cross over from the original Fina, such as Pray, Aim. I believe Divine Burst is actually new. She is basically going to be able to do a decent amount of light physical damage with Undead Killer to all enemies. As she's not really a physical attacker, you could build her to be a physical attacker and maybe utilize this especially for the current event, but that's not going to be huge unless you specifically build her to use that one ability. Probably not going to happen, as she is a support healer by nature. She does retain Entrust, which is one of her strong suits as her original. She's able to give her limit break gauge to an ally. As you will see soon, her limit break is not exactly following the lines of a healer support. So she does get the spirit plus 10%. She'll be getting the 20% MP. She also gets Cheer, which is one of her strong suits, as well as her original form. So bread and butter, attack and defense 40%. Great for your melee setup teams. So she's getting her spirit plus 10% or 20% and MP plus 10%. This is unique to her 6-star form. So in total, she's getting a 30% boost to both her spirit and magic, which brings her spirit up to, I believe, somewhere around the 190 range, I believe. It's really high. She is the first 6-star healer that we're going to have on Global, which means with that high spirit, she's should, in theory, be one of the better healers. Because of her last ability here, though, it is kind of the controversy. A lot of people are saying she's not really viable, even with the high spirits, because of her spells and because of this last ability. It seems really cool at first. Heal 30% of which we believe is max HP, As of this video, people might have actually figured it out, whether it's max HP or current HP. I would assume max HP, otherwise it's just going to be junk if it's current HP. And 10% of most likely your max MP as well to all allies, excluding Fina. So she's not going to be able to use this on herself, and it has a huge MP cost of 60. The issue with this is it's most likely, unless you have really strong characters with high HP pools, a Kiraja would do just as good as this. The MP is kind of cool, but the MP cost coming from her is really detrimental. One of the things that I do think she would be able to utilize this with is if you paired her, say, with a Rosa or a Cecil. Cecil could easily do a lot of the AoE healing, which as soon as you see the magic here, she's more focused on a single target, like burst healing a tank and lightly healing everyone else. With this here, also would heal up your tanks and tank your characters because it's a percent max HP. The nice thing about it though is you can sustain the rest of your party's MP decently with this, and just feed the ethers into Fina. It's okay, but it's not as good as it could be. It's very situational, and as with all of my summaries, a lot of characters end up being just situational, rather than what most people would call just a bad character. I consider them a situational character. I would definitely pair this with Rosa, because she is able to recover MP of others as well. So you'd be able to basically MP up your entire party by utilizing both of their moves between Ritual and I believe it's Bless. You would be able to keep up Fina's MP somewhat through it with Bless, and the rest of your team would just get a massive amount. So onto her magic. This is another reason why people are really not considering her as a very good healer. As you can see, she gets her standard kind of low magic from the original Fina. Protect and Shell are okay, but they're not Protect Ga and Shell Ga, so generally these are going to be negated by using Cheer and Focus, which you get Cheer on this character, so you should really never need to use Protect, because the attack and defense is going to overwrite that anyway. Cura is okay. It's not going to be a huge heal. Even with her massive amount of spirit, she's probably going to fall under, say, Cecil, who is not a spirit-based character. His Kirajas are still going to beat the Kira. They'll cost a lot more MP, though. So she's still viable in the sense of using that, but she's not going to hugely bomb the entire party for a ton of HP. Banish is great for this event. It's not going to do a lot of damage, because it is only a 1.2. So it'll do damage because of the undead killer, or sorry, not the undead killer effects, but most of the undead are weak to light magic. Cleanse is okay. We haven't really run into disease a lot, but she's kind of missing Esuna and Raise. Sorry, she gets Raise. She's missing Esuna for clearing out all of the other kind of status ailments, Stona, etc. Would also be something that would be great to have on her. Versus, say, like Rosa, she's able to basically take out all of the status effects. Even Lena has Esuna, so they're just kind of better at doing that. Kiraga is a single target's heal. It's one of the things that a lot of the times I used to misread it whenever I saw Kiraga. I thought Kiraga and Kiraja were the same spell. So I would read things and I'd be like, oh, like they got Kiraja, it's cool. But then I would realize, oh wait, no, it's Kiraga, which is a single target burst heal. So what this is good for, and what this specific Fina is good at, she's good at supporting the party with her ritual and using cheer and entrust. So she's a great support unit. When it comes to her actual healing, she's really good at burst healing a specific target and lightly healing everyone else. So if you have a Cecil tank, he's provoking and he's using his Divine Sentinel or whatever that specific ability is called, where he's blocking for all of your allies, like he's taking all the damage. Kiraga will be good because it's going to be a burst heal on just him. And then he can use Kiraja for the times where you take a lot of AoE damage. So between the two units, they can actually be quite good. and you would be able to have cheer with her and focus with Cecil. So it is a good combination. There are other combinations with other characters. You guys can kind of figure them out, but this is where she kind of fits in. She's a burst healer on a single target, light healer, and support for the rest of her. Like if you think about it, you're most likely going to be casting cheer, entrust, ritual, and whenever your tank gets smashed, you'll Kiraga. If somebody dies, you will raise, which is a great spell. Not too many units have this. I believe Tella, Terra, and Garnet. Yeah. And there's like Revive on Amaranth. So there's not a lot of units with this. So it's a great additional unit to have it on. So that's kind of how I see Fina's viability. She's not exactly like, hey, put this in your party and she is the end all be all support healer. But even then, Lena isn't exactly that either. She's a really strong AoE healer and she has cheer, but she lacks the ability to give MP to other allies. She does not have raise. So like this Fina kind of fits in between. And with her high spirit, these Kiraga bombs are going to be huge. So moving on, one thing I've noticed a lot of people's reviews on summaries on these characters, they're really forgetting the exclusive materia. I'm not sure if these are stackable, so if you were just wanted to buy 4 chilling auras to put on White Witch Fina, she would get a huge 52% MP and 52% HP. Her HP, not too bad. I mean, she is a healer, so having almost 3k HP, upping that by a little over 50%, she's going to have a ton of HP, and you can have a ton of MP to utilize using things like cheer and ritual over and over and over. These would be something, so as an example, I'm a free-to-play player, and many of you that are watching are as well, since most of the whales are going to just have bot and TM farmed all of their best things, but these auras we can actually farm as free-to-play people quite easily. They're not that expensive. Like I can click on one here real quick. Can't remember the amount of candy corn that they require. Of course, it's not going to say. So they aren't that expensive though. I think they're like 5k or 8k or something like that, which is not too many runs to be able to get that. So moving on here, again, her limit burst, it's a damage limit burst, so it's not the greatest. So you're going to use that in trust to give your limit break to your allies, like your Cecil, and get his massive bonuses, since most people will have pulled a 3-star Cecil in the last event. Generally everybody's going to have the ability to pair a White Witch Fina and a Cecil to be able to kind of have that combo. As you've been seeing scrolling, these are her 4, 5, and 6-star sprites. The ghosts are kind of cool. I do like the swirling effect in the ghosts. The hat, there has been so many memes and things about that, between the VLC player Fina, the traffic cone Fina, because it really looks like they just added that hat on. And when you look at it, especially in the scrolling version on bottom left of my screen here, it really feels like they just tacked that on there, like they deleted the top part of her head and just kind of put that in there. And I think it might even be Vivi's hat. So it just doesn't feel like they put a lot of effort in that part of her. The background story and everything is going to be the same. So that is my recap for Fina. It was a bit longer than the other characters here are going to be. That is because there's a lot of hate around her, and I do feel like she is viable. Obviously, she's not going to be as good as, say, there's future characters that are coming out that are just going to blow away most of these characters for their specific roles. But each of them has a niche that they can fill, and you always want to swap your party around to fill those roles depending on the party you have. So if you have a party where like a Fina and a Cecil, if they're going to go well together and you have no other way to use focus or cheer or whatever that these two units have, it's going to work well for you, and it'll definitely carry you for a while. And as a 4-star, you have a pretty decent chance to get a White Witch Fina. So moving on here, we're going to go over to Black Cat Lid. She is the kind of hero of this banner, is what most people are calling her. So as you can see, she starts as a 3-star base, easy to pull. She's kind of cute in the little kitty cat outfit that she's got going on. She will only go up to a 5-star though. She's the only one on this banner that cannot get up to a 6-star, but she does have some really good abilities for 5-star that actually make her viable in the current meta for right now, at a 5-star. So another thing, again, people have kind of missed the elemental resistances. She's got a resistance to lightning and confuse. So her attack stat is what we're looking at mostly here because she is seen as a physical attacker. It's not the highest, but it's also not the lowest. It's at a decent amount of attack for the attacks that she does get. Her HP is kind of low, especially with the 6-star meta kind of coming out now, but she's going to be very similar to any of your other pure physical attackers. If you don't have any right now, Lid is going to blow you away. So let's see as to why. One of the issues she does have though is her equipment selection is basically like, hey, every weapon that you never really have or care about, she has access to. Most likely you're going to give her one of the most recent guns, or maybe the, what is that mace called? It's one of the most recent maces. You put it on Cloud of Darkness. I cannot remember it for the life of me right now. That'll most likely be her strongest weapon. You could put a staff or something on her if you want to turn her into a full support. I don't recommend that because she is going to be doing massive amounts of physical damage right now. So under her abilities, she does carry over abilities from her regular Lid form, including a lot of her shots, kicks, etc. She does have Undead Killer, which I don't believe her original form had, which is great for this event because most enemies are undead. Maintenance is cool, increases your limit break fill rate. You're probably not going to use it too often though, because there's better things to be used. She does have an Analyze innately if you haven't learned that on any of your Esper summons, just in case you need to check something for a boss. Sunbeam is a pretty good move because of its blind chance. It's used quite often by a lot of people that have carry, and carry is her TM is Sunbeam, so you can grind that out and put it on, say, Kefka. It's a physical style move, so it actually can be used with dual wield, but it's counted by magic damage, so it's really fun to use on Kefka. I don't personally have it. I've seen videos, which makes it look really fun. Upgrade is kind of like boost. I don't really recommend ever using it. It's not the hugest boost for a massive amount of damage increase taken. One of her unique ones here is Hex Strike, so she's going to hit for a decent amount of damage, and then she puts a random status ailments between poison, blind, sleep, silence, paralyze, confuse, and disease. These are all like a 30% chance. Petrify is a 90% chance if the enemy is not immune to it, so that's pretty huge. Basically, they're getting petrified if they do not have immunity to it. Most bosses have immunity, but anything that doesn't, you're just going to shatter them. Invention is really cool. It uses Power Generator, Laser Cannon, Blast Shot, or Failure. Basically, 3 of these moves are AoE damage. One is fire, one is lightning, and this one here is physical, I believe. Failure just means it does nothing. For only 8 MP, it's pretty decent, especially if you're doing the current events for the Halloween. There is a lot of AoE mobs that you can do in the first section of the Halloween event. I will have a later video on the Halloween event and how to get through it, especially as a free-to-play player. Generally, one of the main strategies is just leaning on a lightning friend, but I have beaten certain parts of it without one, and I'll show you how. She does get attack plus 10% and HP plus 20%. I believe that one is unique to Black Cat as well. Really good, more attack, more HP, so in total she gets 20% more attack, putting her up to 120. So it's a decent base attack compared to like a Chizuru's 140 or whatever it is. She gets focus, so if you don't have a Cecil, you don't have a Vaughn, you can use Black Hat Lid and a White Witch Fina. You can get your focus and cheer going on. That's really helpful for your mage units or defending against magic attacks. Then her bread and butter is Ultimate Blow. So at a 2.5 times modifier with ignoring 25% or 35% of defense, this puts her somewhere like above a 3.6 damage modifier. So it actually makes it stronger than Barrage. And a lot of units now are starting to get into the having insanely high amounts of defense, so this will actually outdo Barrage even more because of that. Um, it's just the nature of the game. The more defense an enemy has, the more like they're going to be negating your damage, especially multi-hit stuff like Barrage. So this move is just insane. It's basically what's put Black Cat Lid at the top of the list of these four for most people, because she's now going to be replacing one of your barragers. She can also focus. She has Hex Strike, which is really cool. She does have some AoE with Invention. She's just all around pretty good. Um, if I pull her out, I'll most likely use her. I just like the idea of using a girl in a cat outfit that when she attacks, I wish I actually had the animation for it, but she basically pulls out this giant paw and slams it down on the enemy. It's really cool. Um, she has a little bit of magic, deep protect and deep shell, so very similar to the armor break and mental breaks, but it's magic, so she also has the ability to get the exclusive materia. So since she is an attack unit, you could put on 4 spooky auras in theory. Not sure if they stack. I'm fairly sure they do, but I have not confirmed that. They're pretty easy to get, so you can get 52% more attack on her, and the Mage as well, which can affect some of her abilities in case you are using them. But at 52%, you're getting something like another 50 attack on her. So she's gonna kind of skyrocket from that. Her limit burst, I believe, is the exact same. That's one thing about these Halloween characters I don't like, is the limit burst didn't change. It didn't become Halloween themed or anything. It's just the exact same one. So she's gonna do pretty good physical AoE damage. Here's her awakening materials, pretty standard stuff, and her sprites that have been scrolling. They're really not that different from each other. She just kind of gets more bows and frills and stuff on her. I think it's a cute sprite, but there's nothing overly like, holy crap, it changed from 5-star. It's really just small bells and whistles. So moving on to Dracul Laswell, or Dracula as well, if you want to call it that way. Dracula Swell, basically, is what they were going with. He is a 5-star base, which means you're only going to get him if it's a rainbow crystal. I've yet to ever get a rainbow crystal unless I was drunk and don't remember. And even then, if you do get him, because there is a demon rain at a 5-star as well, you're getting like a 0.25% chance or something to get these guys, because it's like a 1% and then splits into 0.5 because half of it becomes these two, the other half is the previous 5, like all the other 5-stars or something like that. There's all the math on the Reddit if you want to go and look. That's just kind of my recap real quick. The cool thing about him is he's rather than following the same style, so like Black Hat Lid, let's see, she was named so she's still like a tech mage, so they're still along the lines of their jobs, and Demon Rain is a demon knight and his regular job is a knight, but Laswell straight up just becomes a vampire. So it's really cool how they made that job. I just realized I did it again, just like last video. I forgot about their trust masteries. Let's go back before I continue. So they actually have pretty good trust masteries. So Blessed Bow is probably the weakest one out of all of them. It's an attack 80, spirit 40 with undead killer, and it's a bow, so it gets bird killer. This isn't even as good as I believe the most recent was Oza's bow. So it's like doesn't even have as much attack or spirit or something. I haven't looked into it because it was like negligible. It's still a good bow, but chances are you're not going to put that on your DPS. So like an Artemios, you're going to put on your the most recent bow, which I think was Demon Bow. It's got like 90 attack or something. You're probably not going to use this. It's not worth grinding for over other stuff like an Excalibur or a dual wield, whatever, if you have those units. Cat Hat from Black Cat Lid is actually really cool. It is a hat piece. It's going to have a large amount of magic, a large amount of spirit, MP, and defense, and it makes you immune to silence. I highly recommend, if you do pull one of these and you want to grind the TM, like you don't have any other better TMs, this will be great for characters like Tella, that is kind of split between damage and healing. and it's going to protect that mage from silence. It'd be really good on a healer, because you do get boosted healing from magic as well, but the hybrid characters would benefit from it the most. Let's go back to Dracul Laswell here. His vampire cloak is clothing, which it's a really low defense for clothing, but it has a great magic and spirit. Not as good as some other TMs that we have gotten, but it also does have an additional effect of evade. Clicking on evade here, it's basically a 10% chance to dodge is basically what it is. Even though it shows like you're grabbing the sword in this, it'd be more like dodging. That's why they call it evade. I don't know why they would use a picture of grabbing it. Anyway, onto his stats. He does have 150 base attack. This is before all of his buffs. I believe he goes up to something like 190-ish after his passives. Really good attack. He's going to be an attacking unit. He does have, unlike all the other characters, rather than just having a bonus to his elemental resistance, so he has a larger bonus at 50% dark resistance, but he also has the negative fire and light because he's a vampire. He has a resistance towards sleep, not going to come up too often, so I think out of his resistances, they're kind of the weakest of the bunch. They're always nice to have, say, like dark resistance if you're fighting dark enemies, but his equipment is about the same as last time, as regular Laswell, I mean. He does go up to level 7 black magic at his 6 star. He has most of his abilities carried over, one of his best ones being Finger Snap, which gives him the ability to dispel. Attack plus 10% and 20%, so a total of 30% bonus, which is going to put him up around the 190, I believe. I haven't done the math myself, but I believe that's where he was. I've read that somewhere. Anyway, onto his new stuff. He's got Bat Form. Decreases likeliness of being targeted by 65%. If you have a tank that is upping the amount of times, like the amount that they're being targeted, so Cecil with Provoke, plus this, you really aren't going to have Laswell ever being targeted, which is pretty good. And if he is, you can cast Mirage, which is also, I believe, new to Dracul Laswell. You negate 2 damage effects taken over 3 turns. It's good. You're probably not going to want to use that over damage, but it might help. He does have Hallowed Song, which is another really cool ability. In fact, out of all of them, Laswell probably gets all of the coolest abilities. Dark physical damage times 2 with Undead Killer. So most abilities will they'll fall in the category of being able to use a killer effect that you have equipped or not. And this one actually has Undead Killer within the ability. He doesn't get Undead Killer innately, but it works for this ability. So the thing I don't like about this is doing dark physical damage to undead, which are usually weak to light and strong to dark. So it's like you're negating the fact that it's dark damage with the Undead Killer. It's still pretty cool. I don't know. Bloodlust is a hybrid damage to suck HP back. As we all know, hybrid damage is not the greatest in the game. It splits up your attack and your magic. It'll do okay, but like it's an emergency HP if you're really boned. Healers are all dead and everything. Black Mist is dark damage to everybody 1.5 times and has a 25% chance to sleep, but it also hurts you to use it. It's really good if you are against enemies that are sleepable because it doesn't cost any MP. You can use your HP and then drain your HP back later. He does not get access to the new spear that is going to be coming out next week, hopefully, with the pro version of the event. It's going to enable AoE drain, basically, which would be great on this character, just because he's a vampire and, draining blood back is always great. Nightmare Assault is his last and kind of bread and butter. He's physical damage 2.2 times, not that great, not bad though. Decrease attack and defense by 40%, which is a whopping, it's basically Armor Crush and Weapon Crush and Armor Crush. It is larger than Full Break at 30%. It's also going to drop the ice resistance by 40% for 3 turns to one enemy. It's not really got that bad of an MP cost considering all the things it's doing. This is going to be a great ability. You can use Laswell, Dracul Laswell with a whole bunch of Blizzaga mages to just bring winter upon someone. Because this is going to give you a larger ice resistance down than Imperil will. The only issue with this is that he's not exactly a mage himself, and he doesn't have any physical ice attacks. He does have Blizzara and Blizzaga, so he can utilize it a little bit, but he's mostly going to be supporting your ice-based magic users. So Spooky Aura, again, you can smash his attack up by 52%. I highly recommend doing that because they are cheap. And then you have his Limit Burst, same as his usual ice AoE damage. You can utilize that via Nightmare Assault, but it would have been cool to get something that was vampire related. So moving on, we are going to go over to Demon Rain now. The reason I left him for last is because he's actually the one that I would like to pull. Not because he's like super crazy amazing, but he fits a niche that I really enjoy. And I've always liked Rain as a character because he reminds me of a Red Mage. Red Mages and Dragoons are my favorite job class in Final Fantasy, and he just kind of gives me the epitome of a Red Mage. He's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none as his regular form. I don't know what's in his 6-star that's coming out way later, but this version, he is again starting at 5-star base, so you're going to be pulling him alongside and against Dracul Laswell if you get a Rainbow Crystal. He's going to go up to 6-star. His sprite is actually pretty cool in my opinion. Dracul Laswell's were okay as well, actually. Just going down to those because I didn't do that. They are pretty interesting. They're really not too drastically different from what he had before, but he's got a different cloak on, so they at least tried more than sticking a random hat on him, like Fina. So with Demon Rain, his sword doesn't change too much, but it does get more of a reddish weird glow, like a demonic glow, and he gets a tail in the background, his horns, and these little like wisps floating around him. It's not that drastically different, but it is still cool looking. I like it. It's something that I'm enjoying of his artwork. Moving on to his stats, he does have a fairly decent amount of HP. They did release him and call him a tank. I don't see him as a tank. I see him as an off tank, if anybody is used to MMO kind of terms. He's an off tank that is also a damage dealer, in my opinion. He has 156 attack, which we can up drastically. He does have a minus ice resistance, but a plus to fire and earth resistance. He also is partially resistant to paralyze, which is great. A lot of things have been paralyzing lately. It'd be great to not have that happen. You're not gonna really, like, if you throw on Ifrit, he's gonna have 100% weakness to ice. He's gonna get obliterated by it, but as long as it's not an ice fight, you're good. He has his regular weapons and stuff, so you can throw on swords, so Enhancer, you can throw on Excalibur if you have that with the great swords. Moving on, he does have the ability for white and black magic again at his 6-star up to 5 and 7, which is really good because you can stick on some cure spells, cure spells and elemental spells if you do want to, say, gear him out as a mage, which would be hard with that gear set, but you never know. So the way he is advertised is as a cover counter tank. So as you can see from his abilities, he does have HP. He's getting demonic cover, which is 10% more than regular cover, chance to protect. He's got his power break from before. He has counter, which is 30%. And I'm just going to skip down to the bottom. His ultimate, which is Demon's Revenge, here, increases chance of countering by 2.5 times. So multiplying that, you got 30% goes up to 75%. Basically, he's going to counter 3 out of 4 attacks that hit him, which is really good. Defend, it's okay. Demonic Fury is if he gets smashed down below 30% health, he's going to gain 30% attack and smash the enemy back. I'm not sure if this becomes a buff. If it's a buff, it's just not gonna even stack with cheer, and that'll suck. If it's a passive that kicks in, that would be amazing, because then you'd be at 70% attack. One of his bread and butters is double hand, so he's going to get 50% increased attack from his equipment. So say you throw an Excalibur on there, 120 attack, going to go up to math. It's really late. He'll gain 60 attack on top, so 180. All of your other your Dark Helm and stuff like that, you can get a lot of bonus to your attack with that. It's a huge amount. He can actually get really high attack, especially for a tank / off tank, because of double hand. You're not going to be able to dual wield with him, but really not going to need to. Evoke magic. This is just carried over from his regular reign. He's the main character of the game, so they wanted to keep him kind of balanced with everything, I guess. It's kind of weird otherwise. Cerberus Guard is chance to protect party members 40% with a damage mitigation of 25%. Most people are really dogging on this character because Cecil is now kind of mainstream. Everybody should have him, and if you don't, you're really unlucky. Cecil can chance to protect at 75%, I believe, with a like 50% mitigation, so he's not going to protect as often, and he's not going to protect and guard himself with this. The thing with him, though, is that when he guards another ally, he's going to be taking damage and proccing his counter. So that's why I say he's an off tank that does damage. So say Cecil doesn't block for someone in your party and Rain steps up. He's going to take a little bit more damage than Cecil would, but he's most likely going to counter back and deal some decent damage in return. Ignite is an attack mage 40% up, so this is the attack side of your cheers and focus. So in the event that, say, you're using Shelga, Protectka from Cloud of Darkness and Charlotte, maybe you didn't get a Cecil and you still have a Charlotte, you can use those two in tandem with him to still have your full buff range. Otherwise, like, situationally, you might only be wanting to attack. Maybe it's a fight where you're like, I can just burn them down, so I'll just ignite rather than bothering with any defenses. You can do that. Excuse me. So, in summary, I find Demon Rain to be one of those. He's a sub tank, so he's a support kind of unit for your tank. He's gonna be soaking damage for those squishies, but he's also going to be dishing damage back out because you're going to put up that massive attack with double hand. For those that have massive amounts of TM grinding, I do want to see what a Demon Rain looks like with an Aurora Scarf, because dual wield doesn't seem to proc properly with counters, but Aurora Scarf allows you to double attack with an attack command. I'm really curious if that works with countering. If so, that means your Demon Rain that has a pretty decent attack is going to be double attacking every time he gets hit, which could be quite often based on his ability to guard other people. That's where I see him coming in, and I think his design, like the whole idea behind him, is very unique. Yes, he doesn't fit into that pure attacker role, that pure defender role, pure healer, pure support that we're all accustomed to, but he fits in his role specifically as an off-tank counter damage dealer, which I think is really cool. I'd like that they take chances with this stuff, even though the community ripped him apart and we're like, he's junk, he can't tank, he can't be a DPS, but he can do both. Just doesn't do them as well as other characters. He does have magic. If you want to pump up his magic, you can. You're only going to be using Fire Egg and Stonega. It's great for helping with, probably not Stonega, but for Fire Egg chains, especially on the current event. Can help quite a bit, but you're not going to be relying on him other than helping chains. Again, you can throw on a ton of exclusive materia, so if you want to throw up his HP to be insanely high, you can throw 4 Chilling Auras on if they stack. Again, I'm going to stress that I don't know if they stack. I'm assuming they do. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't, because these are exclusive to these characters. It's kind of the reason that you would Spooky Aura, you could slam up his attack and magic so that he can actually utilize these spells a little bit and get even more power out of his counters and regular attacks. If you TM the crap out of Demon Rain, so you throw on an Excalibur, you throw on an Aurora Scarf, throw on a what's the a couple of these like attack boosting items, as well as giving him the ability to hit really hard with single hits, even maybe a barrage so that he can do a little more damage when it is his turn rather than just guarding and stuff like that. I think he could do really well. Obviously any character with all those teams would do really well. I think he'll do well without them, so he's not going to be the greatest at one role, but he can kind of fill those two roles. That's my opinion. I've kind of rambled on that now. It's just mainly because I really do want him, because he reminds me of the Red Mage, and I really like his character design, like his original character design, so I like anything to do with him, and he's more powerful than his original version as of right now, so I'd like the idea of using him again. Shining Nova, it actually, out of all of them, kind of fits with his demon thing, because he is using fire damage. Laswell's, using ice damage as a vampire, kind of makes sense, but I still wish they had been like, they could have even renamed it, called it like Demonic Nova or Demonic Fury. Well, it's called Demons. Oh yeah, Demonic Fury. So it couldn't be that. But you get what I mean. Anyway, his sprites, I think his 5-star sprite is actually a lot cooler than his 6-star. Mostly because it's just a lot more tame. I haven't seen this in game though. Generally, this looks a lot worse when blown up on the bottom left or pages against the white. I still think, just from what I see here, that his 5-star actually looks a lot cooler. So moving on from all the stuff here, I do need to grab his TM, his Trust Mastery. Let's not forget about that, since I always seem to do that. He has attack plus 20% and defense plus 20% with an additional fire and earth resistance of 20%. This is a really good TM. There are certain ones that are better in the sense of attack, like there's ones that give like 30 attack up, but if you get him, it's not a bad TM to grind. That's for dang sure. The one issue I have with it is doesn't feel like it's used for him. Like, yes, it's increasing his attack and defense, which would be great, but because he has double hand, he would do better from an actual attack stat boost to get the utilization from double hand. So unfortunately, it doesn't feel like it was specifically meant for him, but at the same time it does, because he's good for attacking and slightly defending. So it's a good one, especially if you're fighting anything with fire and earth damage. And if you throw this on Demon Rain, he's gonna have a large amount of fire and earth resistance, so he's really not gonna care about that fight at all. So in summary, I think this is a decent banner. A lot of people have been hating on it, basically due to it being like, hey, they're 5-star summons, so they're not easy to pull. Why waste all my tickets and my lapis to try to get units that are not the best of their specific role? Because most people do not like trying to do their own type of party setup that has like a Cecil and a Fina counterbalancing each other and having a Rain with a Cecil to kind of utilize that stuff. Most people are like, I want everybody to do a ton of damage and just wipe the floor with everything so that you don't even have to worry about the fight at all. Most people don't take a defensive standpoint, so a defensive attacker like Demon Rain is just out of the question. As with the last video, I am going to summon some characters right now. I didn't, specifically because the summon rate on these is really low, didn't really want to blow a lot of stuff on them, because I am free to play, so these tickets are valuable to me, but I really like the idea of these characters. So for the sake of the video and you guys, I am going to show you what say 5 summon tickets is going to get. So these are not 10+1 pulls, so this is more like if you were just doing daily pulls. We might get something good. We can all please pray for me to get a Demon Rain. If I get Dracul Laswell, I'd be okay with it. Black Cat Lid, I'd probably use. The Fina, I might use as well. But I really just want a Demon Rain. So I'm going to use 5 of my tickets. Most people are probably screaming at the screen being like, why are you doing this? You're an idiot. Wait for a better character that's coming out. But I find this to be half the fun of the game. Especially these global event specific characters. Like they're here for us to have fun and just pull some stuff. So let's see what we get for the first one. Please be a demon. Oh, wow. Every time I pull for this show, I get golds. I feel like I should only pull when I'm on this show. I'm leaving Demon Rain up there cycling. Oh man, that's insulting. I love Shadow so much as a character. Why is I hope down the line they're just like, hey, Shadow now has a 6-star and he's actually going to be amazing because you all made fun of him for so long. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Let's pretend that didn't happen. Actually, let's pretend that did happen. That's the bad luck. We're going to get the good luck now. We're going to get that Demon Rain. He's sitting there in the bottom left of my screen. He wants to be here. That's a 3-star. Let's hope it turns into a gold and then a rainbow. I got another VV. Oh man. This is one of those pulls. So I'm just going to show you why that's funny. Let's do sort by number. So there's a VV in that party, another one in that party. So there's 2. How many other VVs do I have? 3, 4, 5. I now have a full party of VVs if I want. Which I might do. Just for, just for fun. Let's move back on here. I got a big grin on my face as to how bad of an idea this was, but at least it'll be entertaining for you. Number 3. Oh, it's another 3-star. Come on, gold. I'm closing my eyes right now. Is it a gold? Tell me it's a gold, guys. Gold? Oh, wow, it's a gold. Okay, I'm closing my eyes again. Please tell me it turns into a rainbow crystal. Come on, rainbow crystal. And it's a Kryl. Okay. As you all know from the previous episode that I pulled, Kryl is my least favorite unit because I get her so much and I don't want her. And like, I understand dual cast is cool. I never really played that game that much. I don't like her as a unit just entirely. I just don't want her and they keep giving her to me. So this is pretty good so far. We've got, let's go back in here. And we'll swap this back to obtained. So we've gotten a Kryl, a VV, and a Shadow. The last 2 have got to be good. Like the law of averages here say like it's got to be something good or something I don't have or anything. Oh, blue crystal. Okay, maybe I can do it again if I close my eyes. It's gonna be a gold. Maybe I'm peeking. Oh, I peeked and it's not. Oh, it's a black cat lid. I can handle that. I'm okay with this. Oh wow, that's cute. She's just playing with Gil. Wait, is it Gil? Is it fluff? It's sparkling like it would be Gil, but when she tosses it, it looks like fluff. Maybe it's yarn? I don't know. That was odd. Okay, so we got 1 out of the 4. Let's go on to number 5. This is the last pull that I'm doing for the video. I will be doing daily pulls unless I get a black Demon Rain. Sorry, not a black cat. I just got a black cat. Please turn to a gold. Close the eyes and don't peek. Close the eyes and don't peek. What is it? Oh, it's another black cat lid. Well, that's weird. I mean, I think there is like a 26% chance. That sprite is just amazing. Still don't know if she's throwing fluff or money though. I feel like it's fluffy money. That's what it'll be. All right, so that's going to be the pulls for today. If I get a Demon Rain from my daily pulls for the next 2 weeks, I will let you guys know on the Reddit. There will be another video here as soon as possible covering the actual event. I might actually wait until the second week whenever the Pro comes out. That way I can just give a full version of it. For a brief version, since I will be doing that, actually, I think that's how I'm going to do it. A brief version, use a lot of AoEs for the Pumpkin Kid version, which is like the first set of 3. There's like 15 waves of mobs. Just use AoEs. On the second one, the advanced version, you're fighting the Pumpkinhead Rider or whatever the heck his name is. He is really tough defense-wise. You can break him down magically and use a lot of magic. I haven't had a lot of success with that. My main success has been bringing a jacked ass lightning friend and just wrecking him in about 4 turns. Preferably 3, that way his countdown timer for his triple doom does not kill you. Anyway, there will be a guide for that, plus the Pro event whenever the Pro event comes out next week. I'm not going to do it right away just because then I'd have to do 2, and I may as well clump them together for you. So good luck farming your candy corn this week. And if you are still having troubles with that, you can always send me a message and I can try to give you strategies before the video comes out. All right? And you know what? No, I'm doing it again. We're doing one more. Demon Rain, I'm going to click it and speed it up. Oh, it's a blue. Why has you've done this to me? Iridia, I shouldn't have done it. This is what happens when you don't stick to your rule of just doing as many pulls as you said. All right, that's it for the video, guys. Have a great night. Yeah, don't pull on this if you don't really want a Demon Rain for some reason, or need one of these characters, or like, I mean, if you really enjoy just kind of pulling and having fun with it, then definitely do it, because that's why I'm doing it. Meta-wise, though, you can always save for the next 2 weeks. There'll be a lot of lapis that you can put towards the next banners, so I believe a lot of people are saving up for Lunith, Tillith, a lot of Iths, etc. And yeah, just do that.